What is up, my hollers? Wolfgleader here, and today we get to retrospect and review Child's Play 2, arguably the best film in the entire franchise. Opinion on that once I review every single Chucky movie, but enough of that, let's dive right in. The film begins with this awesome 75th anniversary logo for Universal Studios. It's such a cool logo because it's nostalgic with all the other familiar Universal Studios logos, and the music is just so cinematic. Sorry, I should be talking about the movie, not the logo. I just wanted to acknowledge that this is the first Chucky movie to be made by Universal. I know, it's great. So the film begins with an oddly satisfying opening credits, and I say satisfying because of the Chucky restoration. I know I'm weird, but doesn't anyone else find it satisfying? No? Just me? Okay. Chucky is being restored because the company that makes the good guys doesn't want a bad reputation for the horrific events that allegedly happened in Child's Play 1. Obviously, they want to conceal the truth, and this is their way of doing just that. Sullivan, who I believe is the CEO of the company, makes sure that the restoration is complete and gets one of his workers killed in the process. His death is so weird because he gets electrocuted by the machine that installs the eyes and does an almost backflip. The machine is packing a lot of punch. Alex Vincent makes a return, and he is even better at acting, which makes sense because he's older and he now lives in a foster home and soon to be adopted by the two most boring characters who are only there for the kill count. The only characters you really care about is Andy and Kyle because their relationship feels so genuine and lovable. They truly feel like siblings. Andy is getting adopted because he has been living under foster care, and every time I watch this movie I question, where's Karen? Is she at some insane asylum? Yeah, sadly they don't answer that in this movie. We just have to assume that they are separated because of the events of the first movie. Andy gets adopted, and when we arrive at the house, you can tell Phil already doesn't like Andy. Even when they were in the process of adopting him, he didn't like Andy. So he's in a home where one person doesn't really sit with him that well. But we get introduced to Kyle, and like I said, the only other character you actually care for. She's like the older sister who likes to dominate and mess with you a bit, which just gives the bond between Andy and Kyle even more personality and relatable. Let's go back to Chucky for a bit. Chucky needs to go up Matson's ass because he must do whatever Sullivan tells him, and he's probably his assistant. Chucky is already on the run to find Andy, and for some reason automatically knows that Andy was living in a foster home, as well as knowing which foster home he was at. I guess Chucky knows everything. Matson needs to buy vodka for his anniversary because he forgot. So we already know that he doesn't take his relationship seriously. The liquor store he goes to doesn't take credit cards, so he angrily goes back to the car, but Chucky was able to make the phone call to find Andy. Matson is taken hostage by Chucky and of course forces him to drive to Andy's new home. It's so funny because the whole car ride is filled with funny dialogue, especially this scene.
Now park this piece of shit.
I don't know why it's funny. I think it's the fact that Chucky, a killer doll, is saying all these funny lines because in this movie, we get to see comedic Chucky from beginning to end. Chucky kills Matson, and that's his first kill in this movie. Makes his way down to Andy's new home, and for some reason, the front door is unlocked. Didn't they watch Halloween, or at least know that people can easily invade your house? But yeah, Chucky goes in and sees the good guy named Tommy that scared Andy earlier and destroys his face for not shutting up, and then buries it in the backyard under a swing. Skip to the first attempted ritual scene. Chucky ties Andy up in his bed and begins the chant, but fails because Kyle sneaks in through Andy's window. This scene is so weird because it's almost like Andy and Chucky were trying to get kinky, like 50 Shades of Grey kinky. Yeah, Kyle even jokes about it later. So yeah, Chucky is thrown in the cellar and gets a bloody nose. This alarms Chucky because he is turning human again at a faster rate. Skip to the classroom scene. Chucky writes hilarious profanity on Andy's paper to get him in trouble. He succeeds, Andy's in detention, but escapes because Chucky got locked in the closet and is scaring the hell out of him because he's acting like a freaking monster, shaking the door, trying to escape. But yeah, Miss Catawell thinks Andy locked himself in the closet. But speaking of locking kids in classrooms, I'm pretty sure Miss Catawell can get in serious trouble for locking a student in a classroom, especially by themselves. Miss Catawell enters the closet and for some reason has a ton of lost and found clothes in there. Yeah, it's kind of sketchy, and people even speculate she too might have been a psychopathic killer. And that's why Chucky says that she has been very naughty. I wouldn't be surprised because she is creepy, especially when she's like looking for Andy in the closet. Like, man, kind of weird. Chucky does kill Miss Catawell by stabbing her with an air pump, foreshadowing his death at the end of the movie, and then beating her with a good guy's yardstick. This is the second death of the film. Skip to the mini death battle between Andy and Chucky in the cellar. Andy attempts to kill Chucky, but of course Phil the Downer walks in. Chucky decides to kill Phil by dropping him with a hook and makes a pun while doing it. Kind of a boring kill, but hey, the body count went up. This leads to Joanne to angrily sending back Andy to foster care because she sees him responsible for some reason. Kyle goes outside to smoke on the exact same spot where Tommy, the good guy, was buried. Kyle discovers Tommy and knows that this isn't the same toy that has been in the house. She checks on Joanne and now she's dead, but you can tell it's a brutal off-screen kill. Kyle uses a knife to try and kill Chucky, but of course he is way stealthier and overpowers her. We get another funny ride-along with Chucky and explains why he needs Andy. They make a couple of stops on the way for various reasons, but they do make it to the foster home, leading us to the next kill, Grace. Chucky kills Grace, but makes sure he has a funny line before doing it. Amazing, isn't it? That line is so morbid, it's bizarre to find it funny. And she also falls in the printer, so boom, tons of photos. But yeah, skip to the car chase, we get to one of the most recognizable shots, and that is Chucky giving Kyle the bird. Absolutely hilarious. Skip to the epic climax of the film. The climax that wins the hearts of most fans. The toy factory scene. Chucky takes Andy to the good guy factory and finally has the chance to transfer his soul into Andy's body. He successfully completes the chant, but he took too long and is now stuck in the body. This is where we see Chucky go full on angry psychopath and we get the fun chasing. Kyle and Andy go up this one machine that drops down the good guy boxes, and Chucky gets his hand stuck and decides to rip it off, which just looks so painful. I would have rather cut my hand off, but Chucky likes taking the painful way. But that's not even the worst of it. He decides to stab the knife onto his new stump so that he can replace his hand. This is just Chucky being desperate to get those last 2 kills. But he does get a bonus kill because turns out there is only one operator operating the entire factory all by himself. This is one of the most goofiest deaths in the entire Child's Play franchise. Okay, so the operator has to fix the machine that installs the eyes into the good guys because Kyle and Andy messed it up earlier while trying to escape. He does fix the eye machine, but Chucky slices his face and falls back right under the machine and gets killed by it. Now he really does have 4 eyes. Skip to the Chucky cutting his legs off because Andy and Kyle put him in the machine that attaches the arms and the legs to the torso. But Kyle does return Chucky's bird in the process. Chucky cuts his legs off and we get this awesome Funko Pop figure and attempts to cut Andy's legs off too. I'm just like, Chucky, give up. But of course, he is still determined, and instead of stabbing Andy, he stabs right under the hot wax tank. And we get the third most painful scene Chucky goes through in this movie, because what does he do? He releases the hot wax onto Chucky and completely covers him with it. That's gotta burn. After Andy burns Chucky with the hot wax, Andy saves Kyle because I forgot to mention that she almost got killed by the limbs installer. But yeah, they go back to check on Chucky's dead corpse, but of course he's not dead just yet. But don't worry, we get an awesome finish because Kyle puts an air tube in Chucky's mouth and inflates his head and it explodes. Awesome Chucky death, but it does reveal that there are other ways to kill him, and the heart isn't the only way. The movie ends on a good note and we get this fun theme for the end credits, leaving its audience more than satisfied. Overall, a really fun sequel, and I think the reason people like this movie so much is because they try a different tone and have less build-up, because that's what Child's Play 1 was for. Chucky was already established in the first movie, and they understand him, so we don't really need all the suspense. It's like Alien and Aliens. We know what the xenomorphs are, so no need to conceal them in the shadows, just let them do their thing. That's how I feel with this movie. Also, it's interesting to see a Chucky movie with a bigger budget because now they can get even more creative and not limit their vision. It really shows in this movie. You can tell that this is a universal picture. I really love this movie and I think this movie does its job, so I'm going to give it a score of 9.5 out of 10. The exact same score as Child's Play 1. Because this sequel knows how to handle itself and overall just feels very grounded. My only gripe is the minor characters. You really don't care for them, but I think that's why they're minor. You're supposed to be rooting for Andy and Kyle. Also, the practical effects are phenomenal, even better than the first. But that's being unfair because higher budget. Overall, I love the practical effects in both movies. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my retrospect/review for Child's Play 2 and let me know what you guys think. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it better than Child's Play 1? Tell me in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next month for Child's Play 3.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Bitch.